Hey, thank you so much for being here. My name is Charlotte Brielle, and I am the co-founder of an organization called Wombs of the World. We create immersive doula programs where we create these retreat experiences for doulas to travel and serve in local maternity clinics to learn about foreign birth culture. My wife doula partner is named Gabrielle Harden. You can find her on Instagram and Facebook under Sacred Born, and you can learn more about our project at Wombs of the World, whether it's on wombsoftheworld.com or Instagram at Wombs of the World, Facebook, all of that. So I was going to tell you a little bit about the history of Wombs of the World, and then our most recent trip to Tanzania, some insight into birth culture, and then tell you about some upcoming trips and exciting developments. So really quick backstory. Gabby and I met in our doula training in Asheville, North Carolina in the fall of 2017, and we instantly connected as soul sisters. And as women who are avid travelers and have a lot of experience working and living abroad, we decided to seek out more doula experience kind of in the immediate to get that experience going by seeking it abroad. So after emailing dozens of international maternity clinics, this Canadian midwife who lives in Tanzania responded, welcoming us to Tanzania. Everyone else wrote back, are you a midwife? Are you a nurse? Are you a student? What is a doula? But Leisha is her name, Leisha Dawn, welcomed us. And so we didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into. We show up in Tanzania, we throw ourselves into this maternity clinic, and it was 9 days of just mind-blowing birth. We witnessed you never witness everything, but we witnessed a lot of things for new doulas. We witnessed breech births and twin deliveries and stillborn births and lots and lots of epic, strong, incredible mamas with vaginal births and cesarean births. And we also witnessed babies not make it and leave us too soon. And we witnessed how incredibly hard the nursing staff works. And we also witnessed genital female mutilation and just tribal branding and scarring all over the body. And it was a lot to take in a really short amount of time, but we loved it. And when we got back, we had women reaching out to us, doulas reaching out to us through social media, asking how we did it. What program did we go through? How did we do it? And the truth was we winged it. We showed up at this hospital and they didn't know what a doula was. And Leisha had maybe told them that what we were going to do, but no one really seemed to know. And the beautiful thing about doula work is that it's non-medical, it's non-invasive, we're not there to correct or judge. We were just there to love on women and serve and learn, humbly learn. And that whole time as well, we stayed really within the limits of our scope of practice. We were never catching babies or doing vaginal exams or pretending we're midwives. We were just there to offer hip squeezes, counter pressures, breathing exercises, words of encouragement. Luckily, Swahili is a really easy language to pick up. And so once we started getting all that feedback from women, we sat with ourselves and we're like, we might be onto something. There's these women all over the world that are interested in traveling and serving as doulas. How about we create a program? So Wombs of the World was born. We connected with Leisha and we planned to host 6 women to come, and we would work in 2 different clinics. And we ended up having so many applicants. We went from 1 group to 2 groups and then 2 groups to 3 groups. So the trip wrapped up rather recently. We were in Tanzania in January and February with 3 different groups of doulas. We welcomed a total of 14 women, and it was magical. The power of international birth workers coming together and sharing in this experience that's raw and vulnerable and full of culture shock, and it puts everything that you've thought about womanhood and life and birth and death and just all these things into such perspective, and then being supported by these other women who share your same passions and values and heart was just magic. We could have never foreseen the incredible bonds that developed between all of our women, and not just the doulas, but also the doulas and the nursing staff, and the doulas and the mamas, and the dadas and the bibis, the sisters and the grandmothers. And over the course of the 3 groups, our relationship evolved at the clinic as well. You know, that first group, everyone's kind of, what are you doing here? What is a doula? Oh, you give massages. That was a big one. Like, oh, you give massages? And we're like, yes, we do, but we also have a whole lot of other knowledge under our belt here. And between all of our doulas, you know, we had so much experience. So a few things that I want to share with you that really stood out as far as cultural differences that we found really interesting, and then some things that were really hard. First of all, one of the most surprising things is that women generally labor in silence. They push in silence, they go through their contractions in silence. This is for a few reasons. One, they often get hit if they make too much noise. Not necessarily very hard, but there's some like hitting. And they do that for by nursing staff, they get hit. One is they need to keep the peace in the rest of the clinic because it's a big open space. And then secondly, they tell the women that if they let the noise out, it's keeping them from keeping the force within, and they need to bring that down instead of letting it out. So that was very interesting. As far as the clinics go, there are very few resources. So women, the laboring women, are responsible for bringing all of their own material, which means they bring 2 buckets. One is a wide mouth, pretty shallow bucket, and the other one is a regular 5-gallon bucket. And they also bring all of their own kanga. So kanga is that really colorful African cloth, that fabric. And they lay that down over the beds. It's what they wrap the babies in. It's what they clean themselves up in. It's what absorbs all the fluids during their labor. And then once the kanga is dirty, it's put in one of the buckets and it's handed to a grandmother, and she takes it outside and washes it and hangs it to dry. The clinic doesn't have bed sheets. Sometimes there's like a thicker blanket on the bed, but oftentimes they're just in kanga. And they usually, the idea is that they wrap the baby in a matching kanga to the mama, and that's how the babies are identified. But usually there's so many different random pieces of fabric that, you just remember who your baby is. So that's something that, it takes a moment to kind of wrap your mind around. We think about women in our respective countries, like getting their birth bags ready and all of the amenities that these hospitals offer, from bathtubs and showers, to the medication. And these clinics don't even have running water. So one of the things that we did as doulas, as well as support birth, is we offered bucket showers to postpartum mamas. We brought hot water kettles with us. And there is like a big spout outside that we would fill, and then we would take their buckets and we would mix the hot water and some cold water. And then we partnered with a local nonprofit organization called Boma La Mama, and they run by Lisha, and they make soap and reusable menstrual pads. And so we would gift the mamas, every mama got soap to take home, and then we would bathe her with the bucket showers, and it was beautiful. That was probably one of my favorite experiences, is the honor of washing these women and being present with them. And I just love these women so much. It's really special after a woman has worked so hard and she's grabbed every part of your body to release some of her pain, and you just know she's exhausted, and her baby comes out and she looks at you and she says, probably in English, "Thank you." And we're like, "Wait, you speak English?" But it's just the most genuine asante sana, like thank you so much, that was something that all the doulas agreed on, was just that genuine thank for our presence, because the clinics are rough, they don't have anything. The nurses are working so hard. So just by being there and offering a little bit more of an atmosphere of gentleness went a really long way, not just with mamas, but with the nursing staff as well. So over the course of the 3 groups, our relationship really developed with the nurses, with the clinics, with the mamas, just as people were more used to what we were offering. And by the end of the trip, we were called into the hospital administration's office and to the hospital director, and they asked us to create a doula training program to train women in their community. Gabby and I were sitting there like, are you serious? That's amazing. But word spread, and mothers were really grateful to have a doula present. And again, the really cool thing is it's non-medical. It can be taught. It can be altered to fit into their culture, to abide by their resources, to work with their nursing staff. So luckily, one of the women in our third group is named Shaughnessy King. She's the executive director of Doula Canada, and we are now working together to create a curriculum that we will then edit with local women to make sure that it's culturally appropriate. And then hopefully next winter we will start a course there. And so one of the projects moving forward that we hope to either receive a grant or fundraise for is to fund 3 full-time doulas at one of these clinics. A monthly salary, like a decent monthly salary for somebody, would be $150 US. So that's $450 a month that we would need to fund this project. And we would like to do a year pilot program. There's a whole lot more that I could talk to about that. But that's a very interesting development that occurred. And the coolest thing is that there's this one road in and out of this region. And we were at these 2 different clinics, and these 2 clinics serve over 400,000 people along this stretch of highway that's maybe 60 miles or so. And 400,000 people go to these clinics if they need anything. That's a lot of births. That's a lot of mamas. And that's only 2 places. I mean, there's a lot of home births still, but the government is doing huge pushes to encourage women to birth in the hospital, because the home birth morbidity rate is really, really high. And we just think about the idea of spreading the power of doula work. Like, we see this in our Western countries, that, you know, having a doula present reduces the chance of medical intervention by 40%. Not only does it significantly increase positive birth experiences, you know, and that's really what it boils down to, is for a woman to go home feeling more empowered from her birth and feeling more connected to her baby. So if that's information and knowledge that we could spread and we could put in that one little area between those 2 clinics, and women in that region could go home not feeling abused by their birth, I'm excited about it. So I'll keep you posted with developments there. We're working really hard to make sure that it's culturally very appropriate and very sensitive. So another organization that we partnered with is called Safe Water Now. Prior to going to Tanzania, we did a big fundraiser to buy these. They're incredible. You should look them up, safewaternow.com. It's these ceramic cylinders that fit inside of a 5-gallon bucket, and it purifies water. It's made out of sawdust, clay, and then colloidal silver, and it filters out any bacteria. And so, you know, one of the highest reasons for child mortality is waterborne illnesses and then dehydration. And so these buckets, they're magic. You can put the dirtiest, swampiest water through the filter. The filter filters out all of the dirt and all the bacteria, and then you open the spout that's at the bottom of the bucket, and clean, clear water comes out. And so one of our objectives was to get these filters all over the clinics so that clean water was available. And then we sent the nursing staff and the doctors, everybody who worked in the OB ward went home with one. And we hope, as we continue to work in Tanzania, that we can start sending mamas home with them, or at least have them maybe for sale at the clinic. We haven't totally figured that out. But step 1 is to have these little clean water ambassadors that are familiar with the buckets. So as we bring more back, they know how to educate more people about how to use them, and the importance of clean water, and the importance of washing your hands with soap with clean water. And then, you know, what better way to start a new life than with clean water? So sending a new mother home with one of those buckets and her newborn baby is ultimately the dream, the goal. Another really interesting cultural difference in birth is that they do not do skin to skin. There are a few reasons for that, but the primary one is that once a baby's born, their primary objective is to keep that baby warm, and they wrap that baby in different layers of kanga. And then it's just, maybe it's because the clinic is dirty, or the mama feels dirty, or who knows exactly, because when we asked, no one knew what we were talking about when we said skin to skin. They keep baby very close to them, but it isn't skin to skin. And usually the mothers, if they have a vaginal delivery, will stay until the following day and then discharge midday. And if it's a cesarean, she stays for 3 days. We are very pleased with the cesareans. They were done by really wonderful surgeons. Some were a little bit rougher than others, but just kind of a cultural difference from the West to theirs. We were welcomed in the OR, and they're playing music and they pray over mama, and it doesn't have the huge medical team that the OR will have in the States. So yeah, just kind of like a more raw experience with that. I mean, everything was more raw. Everything was more raw because they just don't have any resources. There's no ultrasound machine at one of these clinics. So one of the clinics, we refer to it as Double D, it's the district hospital. They have over 180 births there a month, and they do not have an ultrasound machine, and that's their number one need right now. So one of our projects moving forward as well is to fundraise for an ultrasound machine. If you're watching this video and you know anyone who wants to donate an ultrasound machine, please send me a message. But that's going to be a big game changer for that clinic, just to offer better prenatal care and just, they work so hard. They work so hard, and then they still have mamas pass and babies pass, and it's just a lack of resource thing. And it's so frustrating for us as doulas where we come from, knowing that, oh, like a proper oxygen machine or a neonatal incubator would give this baby the 3 days of strength building that he or she needs to then make it. But when babies are having a hard time breathing and they don't have any assistance, they get tired and they stop breathing. And that was by far the hardest component of the whole trip, was witnessing babies pass and feeling like we could have done more, but we really couldn't. So we're hoping to, as we continue to work in these clinics with more Wombs of the World trips, we are striving to get an ultrasound machine, the doula training, and then who knows what's next, but we're one step at a time. So that was Tanzania. Incredible experience. We bonded so much with each other as doulas, with women, with the nurses. I mean, it was, if you're interested in learning more, it's all over our social media accounts. So many birth stories, so many pictures. Please check it out. wombsoftheworld.com. And then my personal Instagram is mountain.doula, or there's the @wombsoftheworld account as well. So fun upcoming things. Our next Wombs of the World trip is in Ecuador. In September, Gabby and I went down there and we scouted this region in northern Ecuador called Otavalo. We worked in the hospital there, but then the coolest thing that developed that we didn't foresee, that is now the whole base of this next trip, is shadowing Indigenous midwives. The midwife knowledge in this area is dying. Literally, it's dying off with the midwives, because these women, and sometimes men, but mostly the women, have learned their skill set from the generations before them. It's been passed down. And witnessing these midwives in action is mind-blowing. I mean, these women are so cool. I mean, just, there's Mama Rosa. I got a lot of stories about Mama Rosa. But they're shamans. They are natural witchy healers that do things that you've definitely never seen. And the birth room at the clinic there, they've got 2 rooms, and one of them is modeled after an Indigenous home they have this big effort to blend Indigenous medicine with what they call Occidental medicine, Western medicine. And so in the Indigenous birthing room, there's all these bars on the wall so that mamas can squat. There's this big rope hanging from the ceiling. There's all these mats on the floor. I mean, it's just, like, I would like to eventually give birth there. It's so cool. So our applications for our Ecuador program are now open. You can go to wombsoftheworld.com, read so much more about it. The trip is in July. We currently only have 6 spots available, but if you're interested in traveling, if you're interested in bonding with other birth workers, and then also just learning about birth culture and stepping out of your comfort zone and questioning yourself and your world and your work and growing as a human, please apply. Please be in touch. And then the follow-up process is that we do a face-to-face interview and tell you more about it and learn more about your story, and we continue growing this incredible network of birth workers. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. Again, my name is Charlotte Brielle. The organization is called Wombs of the World. You can find out everything you would want to know at wombsoftheworld.com. And if you want to get in touch with me directly, my Instagram handle is mountain.doula. Please feel free to send me any questions or comments. So much love to you. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this incredible revolution of women that are changing the world, supporting one woman at a time. Yes, so good. Much love to you. Bye.